running man.
Cool. Let's do the show.
Let's do the show. Welcome to the Process Show with Bigg Joe. It's a brand new episode, and I'm chilling here with Andrew, my man. Keep it locked on the Process Show with Bigg Joe.
We on? Alright. 1, 2, 3, go!
Cool. What's up, Joe?
I'm good. What's going on, man?
Easy, man.
Chilling.
Loving the threads, though.
Thank you. I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to lose some weight and stay above,
Isn't it Monday next week?
It is. I don't know. I don't keep up. The only time I think about is when I have to pay people. So that's this weekend. So besides that, any other day
I believe you owe me
just...
$500.
For what?
Umkab. Ovaya.
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't have a deadline. We said it's
said Monday
to go. Yeah, I mean, look, I can still get it done.
In a week?
Yeah. I train a lot.
Too ambitious.
No, I train a lot. I didn't promise you a six-pack. I said I was going to get rid of it.
Yeah, but it's still there.
Yeah, well, it's going to go away soon. Like, give me a week, literally. Next week, Friday, let's have another conversation about it.
Nah, I'm cool. What's up? So,
yeah,
we're here, man, finally.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks. I mean, you're doing a great thing. You're doing a great job in terms of how, we can share some of the information that we have, across the entire entrepreneurship space.
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing. I think it's something that a lot of people need. I mean, I know it's a bit difficult creating content, but eventually it'll catch on some fire and then people pay attention to it.
Word.
Yeah.
Word. Now, I know you, but most of the people watching this don't know you.
Yeah.
Who are you and how did you come about?
Yeah. Well, my name is Mduduzi Andrew Simelane, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Black Nation Media, which is also Black Nation Video Network, and I'm a social activist. I just want to see young black people doing great in this life, particularly during my time here on Earth. And besides that, I mean, I do entrepreneurship. That's like my other strongest skill at the moment. So I'm also harnessing that and working on that. And I invest in different businesses, and I have, interest in different things. It's not just necessarily content or creative, businesses that I'm interested in. There's a lot of other things that I want to do in life. Yeah.
So, how did you get to where you are now? Where you're running a business which creates content, which is mainly for black people, black young people, and encouraging them to aspire to greater things and actually achieving them. But also on the other hand, you are a co-partner, right, with JMB Hive, which is also about helping black creatives. So. How did you get to where you are? Like, how did you actually get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been doing this business for, I don't know, I think I've been doing this for about 8-9 years on a full-time basis. Yeah. But before that, I was practicing, so I did like a lot of different things. I'm actually a qualified public practitioner, which means that, I practice within the public relations space. I mean, I'm qualified to do that. I went to the University of Johannesburg to complete that, or to accomplish that goal. And once I was done with that, I started doing internships in different PR firms. I think I went for like 1 or 2 different PR companies, which was a great experience for me because I got exposed to how, business is done. I wasn't really looking at doing the PR work. I was more interested in the business element of actually running a company. And I got to learn some stuff, during those days when I was doing my internship. Then I moved on to another company. I did like market research. I got to understand how people behave and how people think, the thinking patterns essentially. Then from there, I went back to varsity, but this time around I was working at the University of Johannesburg. I worked for the newspaper, I worked for the radio station. That was also for me to understand the youth consumer market and their patterns as well. And after that, I just decided to start the company, and together with my brother and business partner, Simelane, then I did Black Nation for a couple of years, and eventually we just got to working on the Hive together with Creative Nestlings, Independent United, as well as J&B Whiskey. And the focus with that really is just to support, young creative entrepreneurs in the city of Johannesburg, and hopefully expand to all the other provinces and countries across the SADC region or the entire continent. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what's the definition of creative? Because that's a pretty broad term.
It is. It is. I mean, look, I don't have a definition of a creative, and I'm not going to sit here and, make myself out to be an expert in this topic. I think everything is creative. I like how Dylan Piri of Creative Nestlings has actually approached, the whole creative industry. He focuses on young creative entrepreneurs on the continent and in the diaspora. But that does not mean it's only limited to like fine artists, photographers, and content creators and designers, etc. Doctors are part of that network. You have lawyers that are part of that network, meaning that you can still apply some creativity in everything that you do in life, essentially. So it doesn't have a specific, definition according to me. I think it's, as long as you can create, then you're good. And everybody's a creative, essentially. If you can make a baby, you are a creator, so that makes you a creative.
Yeah.
That's what it is. If we're gonna refer to God as a creator, that's what it's about. You need to look at creativity and what creation means in a broader scheme of things, instead of just the art space or alternative art or whatever. Yeah.
Sure. Now, I also have realized that in the current state of entrepreneurship, we are not competing on, I don't want to say compete, but it's actually competing, is that a business thrives based on its creativity. And you guys have been here for over 8 years. How have you guys been able to still be on and still thrive?
I think, the biggest thing for me, funny using the word thrive, because that's a new project we're working on, and we're trying to get the ITC on board for that. So it's going to be really amazing. It's focused on helping out recent graduates from matric, upskilling those guys and helping them become more competitive in the workspace or in the business or entrepreneurship space. But the reason why we've been around for this long, it's purely discipline for me and true hunger for what we need to achieve. For me, it's really not about the coolness. It's really not about being the coolest guy in the room. It's, even if you were to walk into any space that I work in, you would never identify me as the coolest guy in the room. Or a better person, whatever, however you want to put it. But it's really about the passion. It's really about the discipline. Discipline sits at the top. If you're gonna want to do something, you have to be extremely disciplined about it. For example, I understand the importance of doing this interview. You know what I'm saying? So I had to spend my own money to come to this interview. I'm going to spend my own money going back where I come from. And, I'm here spending time with you. And that's all discipline, and that's all discipline, and that's all wanting to contribute towards, something that's great. So, as I was saying, discipline for me is the greatest thing. And that's one thing I've identified within creative entrepreneurs, that they lack a bit of discipline, and that might set us back a bit.
You have this dream, right? You have this idea, and you keep at it.
You
keep at it, and you try and discipline yourself into having that drive to wake up every morning, no matter what sets you back. But what I've come to realize is that you can do so much alone. You can do so much motivating on your own, but it gets to a certain point where you're actually defeated by these setbacks. And I've gotten to a point where I was also looking for a mentor, and friends are also looking for mentors. How do you see this whole mentorship sphere playing a part in entrepreneurship, especially when you're young?
I think it's how we also get to look at, defeat, or how we get to look at failure, right? I have a different perception of what failure is. It's for me, really, it's about embracing, those challenges and those obstacles. I don't necessarily look at it as I did a bad job, therefore, things are not working out. I always try to look at the positive side everything that I interact with.
Yeah.
You know, so whenever that happens, I mean, I just know that I have a goal that I need to do. I mean, I do a bit of praying. I don't do a lot of praying, but I do a bit of praying. And I mean, I also get to stay above water, and I think I do a lot of thinking as well. You know, just to get solutions to problems. And that's my other thing. Like, I'm very big on getting people to think. And like, I mean, everybody's thinking, but a lot of people might not be thinking about the right stuff. And for me, that's quite important. People need to think more often. You need to, you know, investigate. You need to interrogate, you know, challenges, you know, disappointments, whatever the case is, and see what you can get from that, and see what you can learn from that. I mean, I find that I've got to learn a lot from such, you know, situations. For example, for a year straight, I spent my time sleeping, you know, at an office. It wasn't the best time of my life, but at the same time, it was the best time of my life, because that's when we got to create the dopest things, you know, in this country, and that's when people got to notice what we have to offer as a company. And I don't really think, I mean, you know, the setbacks and should be holding people back. And even things with like mentorship, for example, right, which is the topic at hand right now. I mean, I still look at myself and I don't really have a mentor. Like, I don't. One thing I do is just consume a lot of content, you know. For example, right now, I'm watching Ray Donovan, you know, and I'm watching Billions, and checking out how like Axelrod is doing business. You know, even with like interacting with people, how you motivate your team, how to push people, how to do certain things, and how to network with people, and how to push back when you're under pressure and people are trying to put you out of business and all that stuff. I mean, that's where I pick it up. I consume a lot of content. Because also it's like, you know, as much as I don't get an answer, whenever, I mean, I do get answers actually. Funny enough, you know, when I'm watching Billions, I do get all the answers that I need, you know, for me to run my business. Therefore, for me, that works like a mentor straight up. You know. So that, I mean, that's just how I look at it. I mean, I don't have someone that I sit down with every Saturday and have coffee and talk about how Black Nation or the Hive is doing. No, I don't have that. I don't. It's also like peer-to-peer mentorship as well. I mean, I spend a lot of time with entrepreneurs, being in the entrepreneurship space, and we talk about a lot of things, and we share a lot of information, and that's where I get to learn as well.
Yeah, because I see like you gain so much more if you spend with the people who are actually, in some sense, in the same level as you, but have overcome the challenges that you're going through. Unlike having someone who has long gone through that and is now just over.
And he's like completely detached. And he can't even understand those struggles anymore.
Because it's from the past.
Exactly, it's from like long time ago. And sometimes also it's like bumping into someone that's never, or have a mentor that's never experienced the same problems as you. You know, that's also like another dynamic to look into altogether. Hence, I guess with what we do at the JNB Hive right now is cool to do the peer-to-peer mentorship approach, because, you know, the guys or the entrepreneurs and startup companies that are within the space, you know, are pretty much going through all the stuff that I've had to go through as a young entrepreneur, you know, before getting to this point, essentially.
And it's all because it's all motivated, or you said a lot about consuming content, not really looking at someone who has really passed that, and that you can consume from peer to peer. I think also the places that we go are also contributing to the damage that is caused in our businesses. And also, another friend of mine just told me a while ago that when you look for a mentor, you should look for someone in specific areas of business that you need to tackle. And I thought that was a good idea. But again, when you mention that they're not dealing with the same challenges, business has the same principles here and there, however, how you go through them is different. And now, then that brought to me that training and all of that is important, but now there's another aspect of it, is that that support system, that moral support system, that if you're going to burn your finger there, cool, come back, just cool it off and then try again. And I've seen that also, funny enough, the previous guy who I had interviewed with, Taviso, he mentioned you and the type of things that you've been doing and how you have impacted him and stuff like that. And I believe that maybe we should really be opening up spaces like the JNB Hive everywhere else, because that's where people can actually consume valuable content.
Yeah, most definitely.
And you've been traveling Africa, SADC Africa?
Well, SADC, not the whole continent. But,
well, that's big.
The continent is big. I mean, we have
it's the
54.
World.
We have 54 countries or so.
Yeah.
So it's like really ridiculous. And there's also like different regions within the continent. You've got the west, the east, and the north. Then you've got the southern part, which is us. Yeah. But I've been like exploring the SADC region for some time now. I think it's been about 7 months, like traveling to different countries, and I think I've been to about 7, 8 countries so far.
Yeah.
And I've like revisited some of those countries, like Zimbabwe and stuff. And I mean, the whole intention behind that was just for me to just explore for personal growth.
Sure.
And even also just look at what other young people in those spaces are up to and see how we can collaborate and, you know, work on like impacting the entire continent. And once we've done the entire continent, we can go and impact the entire world. That's been the focus for that trip. And obviously, I mean, we're looking at content opportunities in terms of like exchanging content, taking the Black Nation Video Network content, you know, to other SADC countries, and taking content from those countries and bring it to this country and just expose people, start a relationship, start an exchange, and see how we can make money. Yeah.
Which is always the end goal, right? Sorry, man. Which is always the end goal. Just to, because of time, and just because of time, just get to this one part.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for over 8 years now.
Yeah.
And I mean,
roughly 10 years, I'd say
more
10.
than that, yeah. And there's other things that you've done and learned that you started and closed down because they didn't work out.
A lot.
Yeah, funny enough, it's a lot. It's more than what we're doing.
I mean, we've tried a lot of different businesses. I mean, before my brother got to Johannesburg to study journalism, you know, because that's what our company is about, Black Nation Video Network. It's about content creation.
Yeah.
I've tried a lot of different things, man, but it's always been like within the creative space or the arts and creative industry.
Sure.
But I've tried out a lot of partnerships that never worked.
Yeah.
You know, I've tried management consultancy, you know, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like trying to get people to pop from like musicians to designers to, you know, I've tried it. I've tried it all. You know, I've tried, if anything, I've tried, you know, most of it. And I've also worked with a lot of people within the industry, collaborations and all that stuff. I mean, I hardly or I don't get to mention a lot of it, but there's a lot we've done, man. We like pure culture architects. We've helped, you know, We've helped document South African culture in the past, you know, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
You know, if you can go onto the internet right now and type in South African pop culture or anything like that, or even on YouTube, I mean, what you're gonna bump into a Black Nation video, content and all that stuff, and some other articles we've done because we've owned a magazine before and all that stuff. Yeah,
it was. I like the covers. Though.
It was dope. I mean, the magazine was dope. It's also a capacity thing.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I just don't want to I don't want to write articles for the entire magazine. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's not going to be really dope.
Yeah,
so it's not a book. It's a magazine. So we need to get different contributors to come on board. And I mean, you know, before we started the interview, we spoke about people wanting to get paid for the work that they do, which is also justified, and that's how it should be done.
Yeah.
So, you know, up until then, up until we have enough, you know, capital to build the capacity we want, I mean, we're not going to do the magazine because we also don't want to stretch ourselves too thin, and we think we're becoming specialists in the video space, particularly the type of content that we're creating, and we just want to run away with that and specialize in it.
Sure. And like with finances, those are one of the biggest challenges. Training is one of skills-wise.
Yeah, definitely.
And also access to market is a big challenge for entrepreneurs in general. But you also mentioned to me a while ago that I shouldn't let my frustrations hold me back from continuing.
Yeah.
What advice would you give an entrepreneur who's like practical? I mean, like practical advice as to how how do I pick up and run? Because that's the only time I know that I use.
Yeah. I mean, look, for me, the biggest thing has been discipline. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
If you're not disciplined, you're not going to make it in any space, period. You know, Messi's a great footballer because he's disciplined.
Yeah.
You know, and you can also see that he's disciplined. He doesn't have to tell you that he's disciplined. You know what I'm saying? Because you also just get that from his demeanor. So, discipline is at the top of the list, man. Because with discipline, you get a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, with discipline, you're able to execute and meet your deadlines because you know that's important stuff. And without doing that, you can't get paid because if you have not delivered to a client, you're not going to make money.
Yeah,
you know?
true.
And also, I think it's being really uncool. So I really prefer not being cool at all because that keeps me away from a lot of garbage, from a lot of nonsense that's going on out there.
Yeah.
And also like having really dope friends, and it's good to have that one friend that you can always count on. I mean, at the moment, I mean, I've got my business partner, but whatever situation I find myself in, my business partner is also in that situation. Right?
Yeah.
But outside of that, I have a friend.